Hey everyone, thanks for being here. I want to start today with a hard truth about our industry. Most AI products do not fail technically. You can have the cleanest code, the lowest latency, and the most sophisticated retrieval augmented generation pipelines, and yet the product can still fail. But they don't fail with a bang, they fail quietly. And you should be fortunate enough because what if it fails with a bang and the whole world knows about it? People simply stop opening the tab, they cancel the subscription, not out of anger, they simply fall out of habit or fall out of interest. And also they kind of face the, fall out of apathy. We spend a lot of time talking about model performances like benchmarks, parameters, token limits, but today I want to talk about the thing that actually determines success. And that specific thing is called the habit. Specifically, why do users abandon smart tools? And what changes when AI stops being a cool demo and starts being a boring, reliable, indispensable habit? Let's dive in. Quick introduction. I'm Arthi. I'm an AI educator and a trusted voice in AI. Check out my LinkedIn. My job is simple. I make AI make sense. I've spent years building AI systems, but more importantly, I've spent years explaining AI to people who don't have a PhD in machine learning. Everything I teach is built around one belief. AI should be useful, fair, understandable, and accessible to all. That belief is why I give sessions and talks like these. If you have been thinking, why should I listen to her? Who is she? Here's why. I've spent over a decade building AI products from recommendation engines to NLP systems to real world automation tools. But what matters more is this. I've spent years translating complex AI ideas into language real people can use. I don't believe AI should live only inside research papers or some developer forums. AI should live in your workflows, your careers, and your everyday life. I would like to introduce you to the two products I've currently shipped, and everything I build follows one rule. Whether it's Pink Fair, which exposes unfair pricing for women that is targeted towards women, something called as pink tax if you're aware of it, or Microsoft Studio, which helps people build real products as a solo founder. And many of the concepts that I'm going to talk about in this rest of the session, grounds to this specific product that I've built. AI is never the goal. AI is the tool. With that being said, let's dive into the session today. I have incredibly smart models. I've seen them die in production. I'm sure some of you have too. We launch a tool, we see a spike in usage on day one because of the novelty. Look, it can write a poem. Look, it can summarize this PDF. By day 30, the usage flatlines. Why? It wasn't because the model was wrong. It was because the model was inconvenient. We have to anchor ourselves in this premise. The barrier to AI adoption isn't intelligence, it's integration. Humans are creatures of path dependency. If your AI tool forces them to break their stride, think too hard, or leave their current workflow, they will stop using it. We are fighting against human inertia, not computational limits. This leads us to the demo trap. Demos are seductive because they are clean. In a demo, the data is structured. It's a controlled environment. The prompt is pre-written. The internet connection is perfect. And most importantly, the user is paying 100% attention to the AI. But real life is noisy. Real life is distracted, emotional, and impatient. Your user isn't sitting in a quiet room marveling at your LLM. They have 50 tabs open, Slack is pinging them, they're late for a meeting, and they are stressed. In a demo, if the AI takes 10 seconds to generate an answer, we wait. We have all the time in the world. But in real life, if it takes 10 seconds, the user has already tabbed away to check their email. Here's the rule: if AI demands behavior change before it gives value, it loses. We have to stop building for the demo reel and kind of start building for the distracted Tuesday afternoon. When we look at that drop off, where users stop opening the app, it always almost maps back to one of these four killers. First is the trust. And I don't mean is the data secure, those kind of trust. I mean, those are important, but what I mean is this gonna embarrass me? If an employee uses AI to write an email and it hallucinates a fact, they won't just stop using it for emails, they'll stop using it entirely. The fear of looking bad outweighs the benefit of speed. Second, friction. Is the cognitive load of prompting the AI higher than just doing the task myself? If I have to become a prompt engineer to get a result, I'm just going to write the document myself. Third, feedback. Does the system learn? If I correct the AI today, does it make the same mistake tomorrow? If it does, I feel ignored. And nobody likes being ignored, especially the humans. Finally, fit. Does this live where I work? Or is it a destination I have to visit? If I have to leave my CRM to use your AI, the friction is too high. It needs to fit the shape of my existing day. I want to ground this in my own experience so you know I'm not just theorizing it. I build applied AI systems, I don't just research them. One of the systems I worked on that we saw before is a project called PinkFair. It's an AI system designed to track price discrimination patterns in everyday products like razors, your multivitamin pills, and so on. It identifies when products targeted at women are priced higher than identical products that are available for men. This isn't a simple if-then script. It requires understanding the nuances, the context, and the visual data. PinkFair taught me a massive lesson. We had models that were technically accurate, but they fluctuated. One day they'd classify sanitary napkins as unisex, the next day as female targeted based on a slight packaging change. Even though the accuracy was high on average, the variability killed user confidence. That led me to a realization. The realization is this: people trust consistency more than they trust genius. PinkFair could be technically right 90% of the time, but if the explanation felt confusing or if the result changed randomly, users abandoned it. Think about your human teammates. You prefer the colleague who's solid, reliable, and predictable over the genius who's brilliant on Monday but disappears on Tuesday. AI is the same. Users will actually forgive your small errors if the AI is predictable. They can learn to work around these predictable flaws, but they cannot work with a system that surprises them. If you want to build a habit, optimize for low variance and not just high accuracy. To fix this, we need a mental shift. We need to stop building tools and start building teammates. What's the difference? Well, a tool sits in the shed until you need it. You have to pick it up, guide it, and put it away. If a hammer bends a nail, you blame the hammer or your aim. A teammate is different. A teammate shows up every day. A teammate learns your context. Oh, John doesn't like his memos this long. I'll just shorten it for him. Most importantly, when a teammate makes a mistake, you don't throw them in a trash. You correct them. You say, hey, next time do it this way. And you expect them to remember. When we see users starting to correct the AI rather than closing the tab, we know we've crossed the bridge from tool to teammate. So, how do you measure if you're building a teammate? Forget daily active users for a second. Look for these behavioral signals. First, fewer prompts over time. This sounds counterintuitive. Usually we want engagement. But in AI, if a user has to prompt the system 5 times to get the right answer today and 5 times again tomorrow, the system isn't learning. If they prompted 5 times today and only once next week, the AI remembered their preference. That is adoption. Second, corrective versus abandonment. Monitor what happens after a thumbs down or a regeneration. Does the user try again or do they quit? If they try again, they are invested. And finally, downstream reuse. This is the gold standard and very difficult to achieve. Is the output of your AI actually being copy pasted into a final document, a code base, or an email? If users are generating text but not using it, you're just a toy. If they're pasting it into their real work, you are a habit. Now, how do we get that data without annoying the user? Asking users feedback is easy. Almost every product out there does this. Designing feedback they don't notice is hard. If you pop up a survey saying, "How did I do?" every time you are adding friction. The best feedback loops are silent. For example, if your AI suggests 3 snippets of code and the user picks the third one, that is feedback. You don't need to ask, "Was this good?" You observe the choice, kind of like how ChatGPT does it very often. If the user edits the AI's email draft and changes the tone from formal to casual, capture that difference. That is a training signal. Users prefer casual tone. If feedback interrupts work, adoption drops. If feedback is invisible, learning accelerates. This brings us to the rule of least disruption. The best AI integrations do not feel like AI, they feel like autofill. If your AI asks the user to make a decision before it helps, it is already lost. We need to use intelligent defaults. Don't ask, "What length do you want this summary?" Look at the user's screen constraints and guess. If you're wrong, let them change it, but don't make them start from a blank page. We need to meet the user where they are, in their IDE, in their CRM, in their document editor. If I have to go to the AI, it's a tool. If the AI can come to me, it's a teammate, and that's what everyone wants. So, let's bring this all together into a framework you can take back to your teams. To move from hype to habit, we move through these stages. Number 1, reliable. It has to work. Number 2, predictable. It has to behave consistently so I can build a mental model of it. Third, correctable. It has to accept my feedback and improve. Number 4, invisible. It has to fade into the background of my workflow. When you hit all 4, you earn trust. Notice that superhuman intelligence isn't on this list. We don't need smarter AI to build habits. We need kinder, more consistent AI. I'll leave you with this thought. Adoption is a design problem, not a model problem. When AI respects human behavior, our need for consistency, our hatred for friction, our desire to be heard, it earns a place in our daily work. That is when it stops being a piece of software and starts being a teammate. I'd also like to share a cheat sheet of the 4 killers plus habit framework we discussed today. Please scan the QR code shown on the screen to get it for free. Thank you very much for your time today. I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch till the end. Until next time.